Have you ever felt like someone in your life might be using you? Imagine walking through a desert, thirsty and looking for water. You see an oasis, but when you get closer, it disappears into thin air, a mere mirage. This experience is very similar to navigating relationships where appearances can be deceiving and intentions are not always clear. The key to healthy relationships is surrounding yourself with people who uplift and inspire you, but distinguishing genuine connections from those who just want to use you can be as difficult as telling a real oasis from a mirage. Welcome to the Stoic path. Discover the secrets of Stoicism and reach your maximum potential. Embark on a journey of self-discovery and transformation. Don't miss it. The journey is just beginning. In a world full of encounters and disagreements, where masks of politeness and self-interest are skillfully used, discovering who really cares about us is an art that requires not only intuition, but also a discerning eye. Just as an experienced gardener knows how to distinguish between plants that nourish and weeds that deplete the soil, we must learn to identify the true allies in our lives and recognize emotional parasites. Today, we'll explore the subtle signs and hidden patterns that reveal the true intentions behind forced smiles and empty promises. If you're here, you're probably interested in personal development, and in this content, we'll illuminate the path to more authentic and rewarding relationships. Unfulfilled promises. Think of promises as the actors in a play, and actions as the script. Some people master the art of verbal persuasion, painting vivid pictures of commitment and support. Yet when it comes time to turn those painted dreams into reality, they falter, revealing the hollowness of their assurances. These patterns emerge especially when their support is most needed, but instead of being there, they disappear, leaving a void filled with disappointment and disillusionment. This behavior is not only a lack of trust, but a clear indicator of their true motivations. Their promises are manipulative tools, designed to extract value, trust, or support without any intention of reciprocation. Recognizing this pattern can be painful, but ultimately enlightening. Not all promises are built on a foundation of honesty and integrity. Derogatory comments. People who habitually use others for personal gain are skilled at making disparaging comments to erode your self-esteem, confidence, and sense of self-worth. These comments, often disguised as humor or casual banter, are actually barbs designed to tear you down rather than uplift you. They may trivialize your accomplishments, mock your aspirations, or seem disinterested in your struggles and challenges. This behavior is akin to subtle psychological warfare. By systematically belittling your achievements and aspirations, these individuals create an imbalance in the relationship. It's a calculated move to ensure you remain in a position of self-doubt and low self-esteem, making you more susceptible to their manipulation and control. Their disparaging comments often reflect their own insecurities and feelings of inadequacy. By putting others down, they attempt to mask their vulnerabilities and project a facade of superiority. Unilateral benefit. This behavior manifests itself in various aspects of a relationship, financial, emotional, or practical. Financially, the user may ask for money or resources with promises of payment or reciprocity that never materialize. Emotionally, they may lean heavily on you for support, validation, and attention, offering little or nothing in return. Practically, they may routinely seek favors, assistance, or time, but be conspicuously absent or very busy when you need help. This one-sidedness is similar to a parasitic relationship in nature, where one organism benefits at the expense of the other. Over time, this lack of reciprocity can drain the giver of resources, whether emotional, financial, or temporal, leaving them exhausted and dissatisfied. The motives behind one-sided benefit are often rooted in deep self-centeredness and a lack of empathy. The giver views relationships through a transactional lens, evaluating interactions based on what they can gain rather than what they can contribute. Disregard for your needs or feelings. Imagine tending a garden where only one flower is allowed to bloom while the others are neglected. In these interactions, the user's needs and desires are prioritized while yours are marginalized or dismissed. Their actions and words become the scissors that cut into your emotional well-being, leaving you feeling unappreciated and invisible in the relationship. This inconsideration can manifest itself in a number of ways: routinely ignoring your emotional needs, failing to provide support or understanding when you are vulnerable, or showing indifference to your opinions and choices. This behavior is not merely insensitive, it is calculated neglect, a tool used to maintain the upper hand in the relationship. By invalidating your feelings and needs, the user creates an environment where your self-esteem is undermined, making you more susceptible to their influence and control. This dynamic is particularly damaging because it strikes at the core of your emotional well-being. Emotional manipulation. Emotional manipulators often start out presenting themselves as caring and loving, only to reveal this facade as a mechanism to induce feelings of anxiety, inadequacy, or guilt in their target. They become experts at pushing emotional buttons, praising you to elevate you when it suits them, and then criticizing or undermining you to create self-doubt and dependency. Consider the analogy of a gardener and a delicate plant. A careful gardener nurtures by providing the right amount of water and sunlight. In contrast, the emotional manipulator, like a neglectful gardener, alternates between overwatering and letting the plant wilt from drought. They use emotional extremes to destabilize you, creating an environment where you become emotionally dependent, constantly seeking their approval and validation to regain that initial feeling of warmth. This manipulation often targets the core of your emotional well-being. They may trivialize your accomplishments or exaggerate your failures to keep you in a perpetual state of self-doubt. They may distort situations to make you feel guilty for normal actions, transferring blame to ensure you are always the one to apologize. Lack of genuine support. Imagine a tree in a vast forest, ideally supported by the surrounding trees and vegetation, receiving nutrients, shelter, and the company of a thriving ecosystem. Now, imagine a tree alone in a barren landscape with no other flora to offer support or protection. This is similar to being in a relationship with someone who has no genuine interest in your well-being. You are left alone, unsupported, your branches reaching out toward a camaraderie that never comes. In these relationships, your goals, projects, and challenges are met with apathy or token gestures of support. This person may praise your plans, offer a half-hearted good luck, or even verbalize support, but their actions or lack thereof speak louder. When it comes to tangible assistance, meaningful advice, or even just a listening ear during difficult times, their presence is conspicuously absent. Their help, if offered, tends to be superficial, more a matter of form than substance, and often fades away when it is most needed. Constant competition. Imagine a game of chess where every move is calculated not only to advance your own position, but also to systematically undermine the opponent. Similarly, a person who just wants to use you will often treat your relationship like a strategic game. Your every achievement, decision, or even challenge becomes an opportunity for them to assert their superiority. Whether it's overshadowing your professional successes, outdoing your personal achievements, or subtly undermining your decisions, their actions are driven by the need to stay ahead in this self-imposed competition. This constant competition manifests itself in a variety of ways. In a professional setting, they may try to outshine you in meetings or hijack your ideas. In personal relationships, they may downplay your experiences or accomplishments, putting their own up to make them seem more significant. Even in casual conversations, there is a palpable undercurrent of them trying to prove themselves better, smarter, or more successful. The root of this behavior is a deep insecurity and a distorted perception of self-worth, where your worth is not measured by your own merit, but by being superior to others. This perspective turns every interaction into a zero-sum game, where for them to win, someone, in this case you, must lose. It's a mindset where mutual growth is overshadowed by the desire to outdo and outshine. Absence at critical moments. This pattern of behavior is reminiscent of a tree that offers shade only when the sun is mild, but disappears when storm clouds gather. In good times, when the sailing is smooth, they are there, warming themselves in the shared light and possibly reaping the benefits of the relationship. However, when the tide turns, when challenges arise, and when more support is needed, their presence diminishes, leaving you to face the storm alone. These people treat relationships as a convenience, a means to an end, where their involvement is weighted on a scale of benefit. Their support is superficial, extended only when it aligns with their interests or when there is something to gain. At critical moments, whether a personal crisis, a professional setback, or emotional turbulence, their absence is palpable. It is during these times when genuine support and empathy are most needed that their true priorities and lack of commitment to the relationship are clearly revealed. Lack of reciprocity. Imagine a seesaw where one side is loaded with the weight of efforts, sacrifices, and compromises, while the other side is light as a feather, devoid of equivalent contributions. This image aptly represents a relationship without reciprocity. In such connections, you find yourself consistently investing time, energy, and emotions, striving to nurture and sustain the bond. On the other hand, the other person's contributions are minimal, often symbolic or entirely absent. This disparity of effort can manifest in a number of ways. It may be that you are always the one initiating communication and making plans, while their responses are lukewarm or evasive. It can be your ongoing support and understanding without receiving the same level of empathy or assistance when you need it. Even when sharing personal experiences and vulnerabilities, you may find yourself open and communicative while they remain reserved or disinterested. The reasons behind this lack of reciprocity are rooted in a self-centered approach to relationships. To the user, the relationship is a convenience, a resource to be tapped into as needed, without the intention of meaningful exchange. Gossip and breach of trust. Gossip can be likened to a double-edged sword. On one hand, the act of gossiping about others creates a false sense of camaraderie and trust for you. It may seem like they are trusting you by including you in a seemingly exclusive circle of trust. However, the other side of the sword is much more sinister. It involves the betrayal of your trust, where intimate or sensitive information you shared in confidence becomes fodder for their gossip to other people. This betrayal is not just a violation of trust. It is a strategic move to erode your sense of security and privacy within the relationship. This behavior reveals a calculated disregard for the sanctity of personal information and a blatant lack of respect for the boundaries of confidentiality. The user leverages gossip as a tool for social maneuvering, often positioning themselves as a nexus of information. By spreading and distorting information, they seek to manipulate perceptions, create alliances, or even sow discord, all for their own benefit. This behavior demonstrates a utilitarian approach to relationships, where people are seen as means to an end and sensitive information as currency. Selective availability. Selective availability paints a picture of a one-sided relationship, similar to a telephone line where only one party is always on call, you. In this dynamic, you are perpetually ready to listen, reach out, or provide support. Your schedule, your emotions, and your resources are open books, easily accessible to them. In contrast, the other person's availability is as rare as a comet in the night sky, occasional, unpredictable, and always on his or her own terms. This discrepancy in availability is not simply a matter of busy schedules or conflicting priorities. It is a deliberate choice, a strategic stance adopted by the user. Their unavailability serves a dual purpose. It keeps a convenient distance for them and puts them in a position of control. By limiting their availability, they create a dynamic where you always want more, often feeling grateful for any time or attention they deign to offer. Making you feel guilty. Imagine a scenario where guilt is like a puppet string that pulls the benevolent person's conscience, leading him down a path he would not voluntarily choose. The person who is using you knows how to skillfully pull those strings, exploiting your sense of responsibility, empathy, or justice. They may phrase requests in such a way that refusal makes you appear insensitive or selfish. Alternatively, they may remind you of past favors or incidents, suggesting an unspoken debt you are now obligated to repay. This guilt-inducing tactic is often subtle and insidious. It begins with small favors or concessions, gradually escalating to more significant demands. Over time, your boundaries become eroded and your ability to say no diminishes, leaving you trapped in a cycle of blame and conformity. The other person's needs and desires take center stage, while your own are marginalized or dismissed entirely. Lack of personal interest. Imagine a conversation as a two-way street, with traffic of thoughts, experiences, and emotions flowing back and forth. In a healthy relationship, this street is alive with the exchange of mutual interest and care. However, when dealing with someone who only wants to use you, this street becomes a one-way street. Their stories and experiences dominate the conversation, while attempts to steer the dialogue toward your life are often met with evasion or dead ends. This lack of personal interest manifests itself in a number of ways. Conversations with such individuals often seem like monologues disguised as dialogues. They eagerly dive into the details of their daily lives, their challenges and triumphs, hoping for your attention and empathy. However, when the spotlight is on you, their interest wanes. They may respond with cursory gestures, abruptly change the subject, or display visible disinterest or impatience. Your problems and experiences, however significant, seem to barely register on their radar of concern. Superficial proximity. Superficial proximity can be compared to the shiny surface of a lake, which reflects the image of depth and substance, but upon closer inspection, it is discovered that it lacks the depth it promises. In these interactions, the person may mimic the behaviors of a close friend or a committed partner. They may engage in frequent communication, share laughs, and even engage in what appear to be intimate conversations. However, this appearance of closeness never transcends into the realm of true depth. This lack of genuine commitment manifests itself in a number of ways. You may notice that while they are willing to enjoy the benefits of the relationship, they are also equally quick to distance themselves when it requires effort or sacrifice on their part. In times of need, their support is often fragile or non-existent. They may be present for joys and celebrations, but visibly absent during moments of struggle or vulnerability. Trivialization. Imagine you share a genuine concern with someone, seeking support or just a listening ear. Instead of empathy and understanding, you receive a response that minimizes or completely dismisses your experience. This is trivialization, and it's a telltale sign of someone who isn't truly invested in your well-being. Trivialization can take a number of forms. Unfavorable comparison, that's nothing, you should hear what happened to me. Minimization, it's not that bad, you're just overreacting. Deflection, let's talk about something more pleasant. Sarcastic humor, oh you poor thing. Blaming, this is only happening because you made it happen. Regardless of the form it takes, trivialization sends a clear message. Your problems and concerns are not important. Persistent disrespect. This is more than an occasional lapse in judgment or a gaffe in the heat of the moment. It's a continuous thread woven into the fabric of the relationship. It manifests in a variety of ways: disparaging remarks, dismissive attitudes, or even blatant disregard for your feelings and boundaries. This behavior can be subtle, like a series of small cuts, or overt, like a gaping wound in your dignity. Imagine a garden where respect is the nutrient that helps relationships flourish. In its absence, what is left is a barren landscape where nothing healthy can grow. In such an environment, every attempt at conversation or connection becomes a thorny path of disdain and inconsideration. The person displaying this lack of respect uses it as a tool, consciously or unconsciously, to assert dominance or control in the relationship. It is a way of belittling the other, maintaining the upper hand in a dynamic where equality and mutual consideration should prevail. This constant disregard deeply undermines the foundation of the relationship. When disagreements occur, instead of resolving them with understanding and empathy, they become battlefields without consideration for the emotional casualties. Understanding and recognizing these behaviors are crucial steps to protecting your emotional well-being and ensuring your relationships are healthy and fulfilling. If you find yourself consistently experiencing any of these patterns, it may be time to reevaluate the relationship and set boundaries to protect yourself. Remember, you deserve relationships built on mutual respect, trust, and genuine care. Want to delve deeper into Stoic wisdom? Don't miss our next video where we explore how to apply the principles of Stoicism in daily life. Click now and transform your perspective.